To Accountable Love, home of the Lovesnobs, where love is a group journey. My name is Aziz,
I'm Jerri.
and today we'll be talking about how we expect people to lie in our relationships.
Love snobs, love snobs, love snobs. The love snobs have surfaced. You know, the people that actually use honesty to communicate. The genuine friends that refuse to let you feel sorry for yourself. Yes, those people.
You know, the friends that collect your tears every time life makes your eyes rain. The love snobs, the people that don't allow you to settle. Support your dreams, but don't support you sleeping with just anybody.
You know, the friends that are so judgmental they ask you to stay away from negative people and encourage you to surround yourself with positive people.
Yes, that friend. The friends that love you even when you refuse to love yourself.
You know, the love snobs.
We chose this topic by why we expect people to lie in our relationships because in having discussions with people, scrolling down social media feeds, we always hear people say, be honest when they ask a question, be honest when they ask a question all the time. And that triggered something in us to say, okay, we should actually do a topic regarding relationships and expecting people to lie because that's why we stay in relationships that are one-sided. That's why we stay in relationships that aren't healthy for us. That's why we stay in relationships that are unaccountable relationships. So in explaining this topic or addressing this topic, we're gonna really focus on four main points. Why we expect lies in our relationship, why we accept lies in our relationship, how lying is the tool, why we lie is the problem, and how can we have more honest relationships or what we would say is more accountable relationships. And first, the first point is why do we expect lies in our relationship? And the first thing that comes to mind is we have a campaign on being nice. And being nice is the opposite of telling the truth, at this point. Like being truthful is synonymous with being hurtful or being nasty or being unapproachable or being unreasonable and being closed-minded. And when you are fact-based or when you deal with the truth or when you try to get the truth at all means or by all means, excuse me, it's almost like you're getting on everybody else's nerves or you're judging everybody or you're really just not a great human being at this point. You're not nice enough, you're not approachable, nobody wants to be in a relationship with you. What would you
Well,
say?
yeah, I agree with that. And I think people expect it too because we go into relationships believing that we have to manage one another.
Definitely.
Like we go in believing that the other person cannot take in the truth, or the truth is gonna break them down, or they're not gonna take it in well. So because of that, a lot of people hold back because they think that they don't want to deal with the aftermath of the truth, the person having an issue with the truth, and then dealing with that on the back end. No one really wants to deal with that. So that's why people are more inclined to leave things out of the relationship and not be honest about certain things because they don't want to deal with what comes with it. And then the person that's not being as forthcoming believes that the other person cannot take in the information in the right way. They don't want to deal with it, so they rather not say anything.
They
So
want
I
to be
think,
nice, right?
yeah, they want to be
They want to come off as
in their
nice.
mind they're doing the good thing. It's like, I want to take the high road, or I
Mhm.
want to be the bigger person, or
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
You acted
But
to hurt their feelings, but you don't want to tell them the truth about your actions.
yeah, the thing is that when you do that, in the end, when things come out, if they do ever come out, because sometimes they don't and a lot of times they do, you didn't give them choice.
Definitely.
So that's what it really comes down to. If you don't give them all of the information, then they're not able to give choice. And that's also a part of you being selfish, because you know that whatever the truth is, whatever the whatever it is that you need to be honest about may break the relationship, and you don't want to do that, so you're like, well, I'll just won't say anything.
Yeah, but you should have thought about that before you acted. But
Agreed.
the
But
reason why, another reason why we expect people to lie is because we know we lie.
yeah, that too.
So
Hmm.
because we lie, and we're flawed or we make mistakes. However you want to look at the human experience, we now accept the lies from other people because we don't want to look in the mirror and correct the lies in us.
Absolutely.
So that's another reason why we expect it, because we prefer to strive. I mean, we prefer to stay mediocre instead of striving to be excellent. When we strive to be excellent, yeah, there's pitfalls, there's mistakes that's going to be made, but we spend a lot of our time correcting those mistakes so we can be the best person we can be, or the most genuine person we can be, the most genuine article for all the relationships we're in. So a lot of the reasons why we expect people to lie is because how can we expect more than we are? And
Hmm.
because we lie, we expect other people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also expect people, like sometimes we don't want to deal. And if you don't want to deal, then it's easier to expect the person not to put it all out there because you don't want to deal either.
Mhm.
So that to add on to what you're saying, that is absolutely true. When you don't when you are a certain person and you know that you have shortfalls, or you're not being 100% honest or 100% the best person that you can be, yeah, how could you expect somebody to be more than who you are?
Definitely. Another thing is we perceive arguments as bad.
Yeah, that.
Perceive
Hmm.
arguments as a detriment to our relationships, or a chore, as opposed to us gaining common ground and becoming closer and stronger for it. So we tend to lie not to deal with the conflict versus, or to go around the conflict versus meeting the conflict head on, resolving the conflict. You never know what the other person is going to say or do until you put it out there. But we have that expectation because we assume that the other person doesn't want to argue either. So we believe we're doing each other a service when we're doing each other a disservice. So we expect people to lie because there's so many different reasons, but the main reason is we want to look nice. We want to avoid arguments. Like you said, we don't want to deal with
We're managing other
with
people.
managing other people. And, we go in relationships to self-preserve. We go in relationships for us and not for us. You know what I mean? We go in relationships because it's about me, I, as opposed to us, we. So if people go in with the mentality that it's about us and we, 9 times out of 10, and not like faking it, like I'm nice, so I'm thinking of us and we. I don't want to hurt the person's feelings, but really giving a person choice, like you mentioned earlier, to actually join the discussion and see where they want to go based on you giving them choice with honesty. So that's why there's an expectation.
Well, we also expect people to lie because there's a lot of people believe that everyone shouldn't know everything about each other.
Hmm.
So with that, because of that, it's expected to there are going to be certain things that I don't know based on omission, and when you don't fill in the blanks, and you keep things from people just by omitting it, that is a form of lying.
Definitely.
They expect it because it's expected for a person to keep things to themselves and not tell everything to the next person.
Definitely. And it's kind of looked at as something great, which
Yeah.
like leads us to our next topic. Um, why
Why
do
would
we
you accept
accept
it?
it? Which we touched on a little bit about of why we expect it, but why do we accept it is because the same thing we talked about. We put it we believe we have belief systems in place that tells us people will lie. So we have to pick and choose what lies we're going to accept and what lies we're not going to accept. And we have to navigate through all the lies versus building the relationship on truth. So we accept it because we want what we want in a moment. One, we built a relationship halfway and we can't see ourselves starting all over again. we might as well finish building the rest of the relationship, right? So we don't want to lose what we already invested. So we invest more and lose more in the process, right? Or we just don't, we just don't have the courage to be honest ourselves about us being in a relationship where people are lying to us. So we're not being honest that we deserve better. We deserve more. We're not saying, look in the mirror, like I signed on to be in a relationship where I have a foundation of truth. So everything else is secure. My whole relationship will be secure because it's fundamentally an honest relationship. It's fundamentally a genuine relationship. It's fundamentally a truthful relationship. So we accept it because our self-esteem is not high enough to say we deserve better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that we accept it because we also believe that people make mistakes, and that because of that, lying is within that realm of mistakes. Like, people are gonna make the mistake of not being as truthful for whatever reason they decided at the moment, even though not being truthful is a choice, less a mistake. But people believe it as such. They believe that it's something that it's something that they didn't necessarily, they made the mistake to not be honest, and people are a lot more accepting of that.
Definitely. I mean, and it goes beyond that. We not have to start seeing lying as a choice. Even if
Yeah,
we're
lying
lying,
is,
even if we're lying because we believe it's for the greater good, we did make that choice. So we have to deal with the consequences that come with that.
mm-hmm.
But we accept it because we're not ready to deal with consequences. We look at consequences as a punishment all the time. Consequences is just it's the cause and effect of what our actions display. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
so we have to already view the consequences or see what could happen going forward if we decide to make this choice, and then make choices off of being more mindful. So I would say we accept it a lot more because we're entering relationships mindlessly, and we're coexisting in relationships mindlessly. We're not existing being mindful and truly being mindful of what the actual relationship needs to flourish. We're thinking of what we need. Sometimes we always thinking about what they need, but we're never thinking about what the relationship needs. And
Yeah.
that's the most important concept. Like, you have to understand, when you merge a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's being a spouse, whether it's raising children, you are saying to yourself, I have to do what's best for the relationship as a whole. And it should be, and what's best for relationships should be what's best for both people. And is this lie the best thing for the relationship going forward? Is it going to help the foundation of the relationship stand strong and stand the test of time?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that lies are often accepted because it's not discussed as a core value when you are establishing a relationship. So you establish a relationship with somebody, and you automatically assume that honesty is a given, right? You automatically go in thinking that you should be honest, but nobody ever talks about what it should or shouldn't be. No one goes in and saying, like, I absolutely believe in honesty, and this is the type of relationship that I want, right?
I think most people go in saying that. Now, do they allow that, or do they make sure that they stick to it and don't allow people to cross that boundary?
I think it goes.
I
I
think
think it's a
most
little.
people say, I don't, I want, first thing you ask a person, they're like, I want honesty. It's the first thing. I would say that's the number one answer when you ask anybody, what do you want in a relationship? I want honesty. That might be the number one reason. We should take a poll on this. We should actually
Actually, yeah, we should take a
we should
poll.
put the question up. But I think when people read it and knowing the page and knowing our platform, I think they kind of answer based on which obviously we think is a lie, right? We think,
But I guess
to
so.
some degree,
You're right. So you're right about that.
people read their company, like what you said, they manage their company. So I think I know the number one answer I get is, I want honesty.
I stand correct. I think so. I've been in quite a few relationships, And I'm not even talking just romantic. I'm talking friendships, relationships, and a lot of my interactions at some point in my life were just this what people would call organic connection, where we didn't really talk about those
Anything.
things, and we kind of just went into the groove of hanging out with each other, and then certain things came up along the way.
Mm.
Right. I think when I got to a certain age and I wanted more out of relationships, then yes, that became the question. Like, when a person tells me, what do you want out of a relationship? If they tell me they want honesty, I ask them, what does that look like? Like honest, that, the easy things, or are you just going to be, do you believe in honesty across the board? Right.
Definitely.
So I do think that there's depending on where you are in life, what you want out of a relationship. I think that question can either be asked on the front end of the initial interactions, or it kind of like it's slipped in there along the way, because you realize, hey, this went from a fling to actually like this person, to now, damn, I can actually see myself with this person. Now let's have the real conversation. You know what I mean?
You're actually a love snob now. So back then you wasn't a love snob. So yeah,
Yeah, I
you didn't
agree.
ask the you didn't ask the question because you wanted things to, like, you was told things should just flow. If you have a good friend, things just flow. You have a partner, things just flow. And as you got older, you realize, like, wait up. I'm getting advice from people who allow things to flow. And now I'm looking at them 10 years, 20 years in, and things are not flowing. So
Well,
why would I follow that? Why
not
would I
even that.
follow that information? I'm not
But
even
not,
I'm saying that we're just talking about our past. We're talking about the our elders. Like, a lot of our elders didn't give us the advice necessary. Like, you
yeah,
came up
no,
with this, you came up with this through trial and error. And the whole
yeah,
point of us having relationships and having people who are our elders is so we don't have to deal with things through trials and tribulations. We don't have to deal with things through trial and error, through trial and error, right? We don't have to go
yeah,
through trials and tribulations, right? Or it's to lessen the trials and tribulations, right? So they're giving us what their parents gave them and what their parents gave them, as opposed to giving us the real, like, listen, we have this issue in our relationship now. 20 years, this issue has been a problem. We're so tied in, whether it's paying rent together, paying a bunch of bills together, raising children together. We're so tied in that we don't see ourselves parting. So now we feel like we're stuck in a relationship, and we don't want the same thing for you. So I would say go in a relationship and establish your boundaries early before you start adding children and start adding bills and start connecting on those things where you are relying on another person to actually step up. You have to have them discussions first and be clear on the discussion. So when the boundaries is crossed, they're clear. And if you're saying I want honesty, that don't mean I control the honesty too, because a lot of people say they want honesty,
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
yeah, and they control how you're going to be honest. Honesty is its own separate entity. You start the discussion with honesty, and then you find out what's the truth. Like we say all the time, honesty is just what you believe it is from a genuine, honest place. And then the other person is being honest about what they think it is. And then we come to an understanding of truth through breaking down what our points are based on the honest interaction or honest dialogue. So yeah, I would say most people say they want honesty, but we accept lies all the time. So how could we say we want honesty when we're accepting of lies?
Well, that, and also too, like you said, is very, when someone says that they want honesty, they have to be clear on what that is. But it's not just about a person being honest with you. It's about, are they honest with the people around them as well? So because if a person truly believes in honesty, it just doesn't start and end with you.
Well,
And the relationship that you have, it's something that they believe in all around. So it sounds good when you're meeting a new person, especially a romantic partner, and they pump, they're sitting across from you and they're telling you, like, hey, I really believe in honesty. You can't really, connect with somebody unless you're truly honest with them. And I believe in transparency, but yet they're not transparent with the other people in their lives, then that means that they truly don't believe it. And the signs are always there. Like, it's not just about how people are with you, it's about how they are with other people. And you shouldn't, yes, I know, like, if it's easy to stroke somebody's ego and think that you could bring the best out of another person, and you can, like, I'm not saying that that's false. You can bring out certain things in people that other people can't, but at the same time, like it
has to
shouldn't
be
be,
there first.
yes,
And
and
you're
it shouldn't just be like something like like honesty. Like I bring out honesty in you. Maybe you should, if that's truly who you are, then it should be who you are, and that should be
you have to
reflected
be
in your
ready for
relationship.
honesty, and then I can bring it out further. It has
Yeah.
to be something that you believe or buy into. It has to be rooted in you at first. And doesn't mean that you was born with it. It just means that it was planted in you where you're like, oh, now I really believe in this. And then going forward, it's a belief system. So you practice.
I mean, yeah, it's like something like, because if you're around a person that believes in honesty, and you have the space to say what you need to say, how you need to say it, and comfortable saying certain things, then it may be eye-opening, like, wow, like that's, what it is, that this is the type of relationship, this is what a relationship looks like when you are totally honest with somebody else.
Yep.
Like I want this to be reflected in my other relationship, so that happens, yeah. But you telling me everything and not telling everybody else, the other closest people to you, everything, it means that
It's
that's
like
just not who you
I'm
are.
comfortable with not lying to you, but I lie to everybody else.
Yeah.
So if you lie to 75% of your relationships, you're a liar, right? Like would that make you a liar? And with me, you choose not to lie. It shows that first one, you have choice. So you know that it's not like a sickness. You know, you're very intentional in what you're doing. And why would you still have relationships where you're lying? Like you feel the need to lie in those relationships. So I would say, yeah, we accept lying for a variety of reasons. But the main reason is because we're too insecure to really deal with the truth
Yeah.
and live by a standard of the truth, right? So that would be the main reason why we accept it. And our next our
Point.
next point is lying. Yeah, lying is a tool, and we tend to blame the tool. So when we talk about lying, we talk about honesty, we talk about they're all tools that we use, we choose to use or choose not to use, right? Or we choose to use them in certain ways and we choose not to use them in certain ways. Why we use them is the problem. Why we lie is the problem. Because let's be honest, we're lying when we're surprising the person, right?
We're lying to get out of danger.
We're lying to get out of danger. We lying not to put somebody else in danger, right? Imminent danger, right? So like it has to be imminent, not a danger. Like there's certain people that lie, like we was just talking about. They lie because they believe it will benefit the person, but that person's not an imminent danger. So you would give that person choice versus not giving them a choice to push them out the way because something's falling on them. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say that's a lie, that's saving their life, but you ain't giving them choice. Is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. You just pushed them out the way when you promised to give them choice, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, how we lie and why we lie is the most important ingredient. So I think people need to go out, they need to stop saying, I don't want somebody who lies. And they really want somebody who will lie for the right reasons. Actually, if you really look at it fully, it's never the tool. You know what I mean? It's never the tool. Like guns were invented. It's never the tool that changes what happens with our lives. It's how we use that tool that overall says who we are as people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I can be honest to hurt your feelings. I can be brutally honest, like people would say, and typically that means that my intentions was to hurt you, right? That's using honesty the wrong way. So if we start looking at every attribute and everything we say we're going to use as a tool, then we understand that how we use it will decide our core values: integrity, accountability. Whether because honesty it's a virtue, but it's not a core value. It's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Integrity is the thing that fuels all the reasons and ways you'll use it. Wanting to be accountable is how it fuels the way that you actually think and go forward and move forward, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at core values, they're who you are. When you look at honesty, trust, those are tools to evaluate and to show people that you're committed to who you say you are,
Yeah.
right? Because I lie. I mean, I've surprised people. I have held secrets and waited for other people to tell people. because I promised that person, but therefore promising that person, I'm lying to this person. You know, and I have learned that that's not the best practice. I should do that sparingly. But for the most part, I still believe to some degree that I'm gonna allow this person first to do their part. If they confide in me, I'm gonna always say, I give you a day to tell this person, or so I'm telling them. But now I enter relationships saying that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to lie to you, but I will take a step back and allow a person to tell you before I tell you. But if they don't tell you in a matter of time, I'm telling you, because then our relationship becomes a lie. Then I'm holding on to information that you need to know, and I'm supposed to be your friend or your spouse or supporting you with raising children. You know, however it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that I'm something and I'm not living up to it. So it is about refining exactly how you use the tool and seeing lying as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are, like you said, there's always reasons why lies are being said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say the number one reason is because you want to take control over the choices within the relationship. So
Definitely
you hold,
self-preservation.
yeah, so you hold things to yourself, or you omit information, or you wait until there's a good time, and that good time never really rolls around, and you just keep this information with you because in your mind you believe that you don't want to ruin a good thing, but you already ruined the good thing. You know what I mean? Or you already know what the outcome is going to be. You just
It
don't want
looked
to deal
like
with
you
it
in a
at that moment.
confessional.
Say that again.
So it looks like you're in a confessional. You're like,
No, I mean, I've been there. I've been there where,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looked like it. It looked
uh,
like you're in a confessional. Like, what did I do when I did it? You
yeah,
know
no,
what I
but
mean? When I
I've
actually
been
used
there
the
where
tool wrong.
I lied on omission because
Power mission.
by omission because I thought that it wasn't information that the person needed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Or so much time had passed that it didn't make sense for me to go back and rehash it. You know what I mean? Because so much time had passed, but still, it's it's still robbing the person of the choice because maybe we wouldn't have had all that time if I would have said something however many years ago. You know what I mean? So
Definitely. And it looks like you're conspiring with the other person.
yeah,
And it's really bad when that person is somebody that you hold dear than the other person.
yeah.
Right? It's like, yo, I thought we were cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we was closer
Mm-hmm.
because you prioritize your life and it's your best friend versus your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose your friend over your best friend. That's how they taking it in.
Mm-hmm.
And it does change the relationship. It does change the way a person views a relationship. So I would say before you use the
Well,
tool,
you go back and you look like you with that one lie. You take inventory on the whole entire relationship and you think about like what other areas where they could have lied. I mean I've lied, I've been lied to, and like when you're lied to, you think about you sit back and you think like, wow, like you think of all the other parts of the relationship that didn't quite make sense or where there were holes within that relationship. You're like, well, that probably was a lie and that probably was a lie and that, you know what I mean? Like you start to like look at everything and look, yeah, you start to look at the person differently, and rightfully so.
I mean, if we're being honest, like I've been told that I'm too honest, I'm too forward, right? But everybody's searching for the lie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a difference. I notice in life, the more genuine person is the one that's lying. That's who everybody thinks is genuine. They look for this guy. This is too good to be true. They
Yeah.
look for the lie in the good. This is good to. This is
Too good to
too
be
good
true.
to be true person. They look at whoa, this is too good to be true. We got to find something wrong with the person instead of embracing it. So to some degree, we look at lying as a norm, and we look at lying as what humanity is.
It
We look at
normalizes
lying
it.
as normal and humane versus a person that's now striving for excellence. You're an alien. So to some degree, you want a lie to fit in,
Yeah.
right? So you use the tool for self-preservation. I mean, that's the overall point. Like you use the tool to fit in, you use the tool because you want to seem genuine, you use the tool because you don't want to come off a certain way. I mean, to some degree, we have no choice but to omit certain things about our lives in our podcast and things of that nature because you can't divulge everything in an hour. So you pick and choose what you're gonna tell, what you're not gonna tell. So they can come up, somebody can research us and be like, they never said this. And the public can think, oh, now they're not genuine, they're liars, they're false, right? But how we use the tool, we can just look at it like we only have an hour to really say what we have to say.
But the point is that we're also using some of our life experiences and some, supported data to really educate everyone else.
Definitely.
And that's the point. Like, I mean,
And it's a relationship with the public, but it's not a friendship, a partnership. It's not a spouse. They're not my spouse, they're not my friends, nor are they my children. You know what I mean? So like there's a certain respect you have to have and you have to uphold, but then there's a certain understanding that you have with your peers, your partners, because divulging information to the public is also telling them other people's information
yeah,
that you love and you're close to. So that people have to really factor that in. You can't say this person's not an honest person because they're honest and they committed and they told the people that they love that they're going to protect them, and they're not going to put them in the public eye. You get what I'm saying? And they're not going to place them in harm's way. So there's certain things you're not going to come up with that people can research or talk to other people and bring to the light. But are you a genuine enough person to say, well, that's accurate, but why did you search for that? Why did you fish for that? Why did you want to destroy a platform that's trying to support people in their relationships? So it's not the lie that was the problem. It was how the lie was being used. In this
yeah.
situation, omitting is being used to protect the people you promised to protect. You're not lying to them, but to some degree, you're omitting from the public, right? So if you even take a deep dive and look at that, everybody in the public eye has some form of personal information that they have within their personal lives that they don't divulge to the public, that somebody can come up with and try to destroy their character. But if people really look deep inside, they would see like, yeah, I wouldn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't tell the public, my friends or somebody's personal information when I'm trying to educate them about relationships in general. This is not a reality show. This is an educational tool. This is to help build accountable relationships. So when you think of that, you think of how can we use lying is not the problem. It's how we use lying that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we want people to understand we're not opposed to the actual invention of lying. We're opposed to how people are using lying for their own personal gain.
And we also
Not really
know,
moving the group.
and like in certain situations, are not always forthcoming with our children based on how old they are and what the information is,
Definitely.
right? And although personally as a parent, that's not something that I always was comfortable with. So I try to be as honest as I could, depending on how old she was at the time and what the information was, right?
Definitely.
But yeah, it's really, it's like as you said, it's really how you use it. And if you're using it for, and again, it's that fine line of using it for the greater good, because we all could determine what that is, right? Like the greater good could be for me to save the relationship, so I'm just gonna lie. But it's a tool that we have to exercise at points in our lives, but that shouldn't be what we it shouldn't be our go-to in every situation that we don't really want to deal with.
Definitely.
And
Are you adding choice or are you still in choice?
yeah,
Even to some degree with your child, your children enough and you are their parent. So you are their guardian. So you are in their lives to be their guardian. With your friends, you're not their guardian. And with your spouse, you're not their guardian. You're their partner. You're their friend. So to steal their choice, you have to let them make those decisions. With your kids, you gradually build them into responsibility. So you tell them the things that you feel they're equipped enough to have dialogue about. That would be my advice all the time.
yeah,
Like if you
absolutely.
can't have the dialogue with your child can't really take in information to have the dialogue, then it's pointless. But if you tell your child information that that they can actually give you a clear understanding of what how the information made them feel, what they really think of the information, where they could really give in their input or put their input in, then I think you should divulge it right away
Hmm.
or as soon as possible. So it is based on the relationship you have with your child as well and building a
And
strong
their
relationship.
temperament.
So like lying shouldn't be the course of the relationship.
No.
But the omission part of lying is can be for the betterment of a relationship as well. So we don't want to just tell people lying is wrong. How you lie is wrong. So we want to make that clear. And I mean, our last point is how can we have more honest relationships? And I just touched on a portion of it. We have a more honest relationship by being honest. Stop believing what's in your head is actual. You know what I mean? Like you go out, once you in your mind say, this may hinder my relationship, but I'm going to go forward. At that point, you're not being honest with yourself. You're not being honest with your relationship. So therefore, you decide to act selfishly. So I guess the main point, or I know the main point of having an honest relationship is really take inventory of your actions. Because we think all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's people we've been angry enough. We thought we wanted to hurt them badly. There's been people, like our thoughts vary, but thoughts into actions is what causes the problem. So we really have to be mindful of what we do and don't do and how what we do is going to affect our relationship. So how would we have honest relationships is be honest. Be honest with yourself, therefore you can be honest with other people. Be honest with your actions, therefore you can relay your actions.
And also, and think about choice. Are we giving the other person choice, or are we taking away choice? And if you are, if you have to just, if you're making the decision on the relationship by yourself, then you should already know that you're the problem, that you're not being as honest as you need to be.
Definitely. And when we say making decisions by yourself, it means that not the decisions y'all already talked about and then y'all moving based on the fact that you have an understanding of who they are and what they need and what y'all agreed to, and you're making an independent decision to actually benefit the whole. We're talking about you're making an independent decision that just benefits you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not thinking of consulting with the other person when you're pivoting and making a move that's outside of the agreement of the relationship. Because when we look at agreements, we always think like they pigeonhole us in. But they're in the agreement, there's just so much that's in the agreement that you don't even have to go outside the agreement. You're really in an accountable relationship. You're really in a loving relationship. There's so many things you can do in a commitment in those relationships. Why would you have to step out of those relationships? Why would you feel that the people that you're the most comfortable with, you have to lie to? Because obviously you're doing something out of the parameters of the relationship.
Mm.
So I would say, how do we build an honest relationship? One of the components of building an honest relationship is honor the boundaries. Set your boundaries, listen to the other person's boundaries, agree to the boundaries, and honor the boundaries. So you don't have to ever lie. You're always in a position to be honest and tell the truth and call the person up and send the person a text as soon as things are happening. So you're giving them choice. We need to talk. I just did X, Y, and Z. So what do you want to do going forward? I'm having urges to do X, Y, and Z. Even when you're recovering, let's say we talked about being a codependency, excuse me. And you're codependent on alcohol use or drug use. You even honest with people when you're saying, I'm thinking about using, so they can talk to you, so you have support. You don't alienate your support with lies. Because if you just go and use and show up to their doorstep already high, they're going to have a bigger problem than you showing up to their doorstep sober with the urge in hand and the strong urge, so they can help you through where the urge is coming. So there's just so many varieties of relationships we discuss, and so many varieties of relationships we have to encounter in life, and we're not blind to it. We don't just see the roses. But the point is, or the sunshine, the point is, we want to see the roses and smell the roses, and we want the sunshine for everybody. How do you get that? Have honest relationships. Have honest dialogue. Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to others.
And also, and make sure that you guys are on the same space, on the same page, and speaking the same language. What honesty looks like to me is the same for the person that you're connecting with.
Definitely.
because that's always the loophole. It was like
Mhm.
when I thought of honesty, I thought of dot 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 dot, and then the other person could be saying, when I thought of honesty, I thought it was the major things I'm supposed to tell you, not everything. You know what I mean? Like there's always these loopholes that can happen within the relationship when you don't communicate effectively. So it's really important that when you, in order for you to have an honest relationship, you at the very beginning have to establish what that looks like. What does it mean to be honest on both ends?
Mhm.
And once that's established, then like as you said, there's parameters set within the relationship, there's boundaries set within the relationship, and you stay within that. But a lot of times those things are not even set. We're saying the same thing, but we're saying something different. And
Def-
that's the cause of a lot of breakdowns within relationships and communication.
Definitely. And we would say when you're sitting alone and you really understand, you're really thinking about relationships. Like what Jerry just said, there's so many different ways to define honesty for several different people. I would say sit down and find something that it will benefit everybody. Like what we think about all the time. Obviously, we think about relationships all the time, so we have them lined up. So honesty. Don't do anything you wouldn't want to tell the person.
Hmm.
Period. Honesty. That's it. So if you can't talk to me about it, don't do it. If you can't talk to your friend about it, don't do it. You can't talk to your friend that you feel is the most judgmental, probably the best friend you have, don't do it. If you can't look your kids in the face and like really give them a hug and kiss because you know you did something that was not on point, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't risk your integrity for anybody else. So I would say that's what would define honesty for the whole, for everybody in a relationship.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So you sit down and you have, like, no matter what you're talking about, you have definitions that benefit the whole. How can we preach? How can we teach the definition where it's not so open ended or it's not so broad that everybody's like, oh, I didn't get what you were saying? I think
Okay.
that's clear. You get what I'm saying. So I think we have an understanding because it's exactly what we tell our child. When you're ready to have sex, that's a part of life.
Hmm.
You're gonna have sex. It's a part of life. Her being you being a woman and having that understanding with her, me being a father figure, like it feels weird. It's a feeling, but the reality is, she's getting up in age, and she's gonna be curious, and she's gonna do a natural thing of having sex.
Yeah,
We just want
and
her to do it naturally, responsibly.
yeah,
So
and it's our job to give her that level of support and to make sure that she has that the place to come and be honest about where she's at in that stage of her life.
definitely. Because I mean, I didn't have my first partner wasn't with somebody that I was committed to. I was intoxicated my first time. So like I didn't wasn't happy with the first time because I was actually saving it for marriage. I was one of them people that wanted to save it till I was in a committed relationship. But, I did something dumb and was drinking young, and found out the consequences of drinking young. I wanted to sleep with somebody I would have never slept with in life. So I'm just saying, like, you have to deal with the pitfalls of your choices and your decisions. So me doing that, I'm like, I understand, but I told my mother. See, the thing about me is I'm gonna be honest one way or another. Like me and my mother said we're gonna be honest. Like I should be honest with her, or she can't really truly support me. So I'm be honest with her. This girl could have got pregnant, like anything could have happened. So I have to be honest with her because I have to give a choice on what's going on with my life. And I understood that at a young age. So what we instill in our children, what we talk about with our friends, and what we talk about with our spouse, we build our relationships on those ideals, and that's what we aspire to be all on a regular basis. So that's when people say we fall short. We don't fall short of other people's expectations. We fall short of what we agreed to. That's what you never should fall short. That's what you should be working towards maintaining on a regular basis. What we
Mhm.
agreed to. And if being in an honest relationship is an agreement, then you honor that regardless of the consequences. You honor that honesty.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So, this is another accountable love podcast. And, just stop expecting people to be dishonest and see who they are in character and see if they're willing to be in honest relationships, more accountable relationships. So,
And also be a person that encourages honesty as well. Because
definitely.
yes, honesty starts with you and you decide whether you want to be honest or not. But I do believe that people have a hard time being fully who they want to be in places with people that don't support that. So a lot of people say they want honesty, but you tell them the raw truth and then they shut down and it becomes a thing. And it just gets uncomfortable and weird and the connection is not as strong. So we need to start creating those spaces where it's okay to be honest. And yes, honesty means that you're going to hear things that you may not want to hear,
Mhm.
but that's what comes with honesty, right? You're not going to always hear the things that you want to hear and it's not going to always feel good, but you can't just sift through the good and the bad or what you want to hear versus what you don't want to hear based on your feelings either.
Yeah.
So I think, you really, the one of the takeaways from this podcast is if you really truly want honest relationships, then you have to be able to create that space as well and know that it's going to come in different ways. There's going to be good from it. There's going to be bad from it. There's going to be weird spaces, but you still always encourage it and make sure that you're communicating that to the people that you're around.
Yeah, start looking forward to honesty.
Yeah,
You truly believe in honesty, you'll look forward to honesty. You won't shy away from honesty. Anything honest, anybody that's honest and believes in honesty is your people. Don't stay in
absolutely.
relationships where people are like hindered by honesty and they talk you into not being as honest. Because there's no such thing as honest. Honest is.
Hmm.
Okay? So this has been another Accountable Love podcast, as I said earlier. So enjoy.
Bye.